call to order the annual meeting of the School District of River Falls. Welcome and thank you for attending the meeting tonight. I will begin by introducing the school board members and administrators who will be presenting this evening. I am Stacy Johnson-Myers and I serve as the school board president. Ellen Tuchtenhagen is the vice president. Lindsay Curtis is the clerk. Mike Miller serves as treasurer, joined by school board members Ellison Page, Bo Herstein, Monica Lavold. David Bell is our superintendent, and Lynette Coy is the director of finance and facilities. The first order of business this evening is to elect a chair for this annual meeting. Are there any nominations for chairperson? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Yes. Are there any other nominations for chairperson? If not, then nominations are closed and Elaine Bauman is affirmed as the chairperson of the annual meeting.
Hey, good evening. The first order of business, I would like to point out that the meeting agenda is found on page 3 of the booklet that you received as you came in. Okay, and next I would like to appoint a parliamentarian for the annual meeting, and I appoint Brian Goodman as parliamentarian. And I appoint Amanda Taylor as clerk of the annual meeting, sitting back there taking notes. I adopt policy 187 to apply to the public hearing on the 2025-26 school year budget and any other discussion by electors at the annual meeting. This is a policy that guides public comment at school board meetings, and it's recommended that we use it for the budget hearing tonight. If you would like to review this policy, copies were available where you entered. Next, I would like to invite David Bell to provide a State of the District presentation.
Thank you, Elaine. And thank you for the opportunity to provide the superintendent report for the 2025 annual meeting. I see many familiar faces in the crowd, but for those of you that do not know me, my name is David Bell. I've served as the River Falls superintendent since 2024, and I've been a part of the district since 2017. I'm thankful to serve in this role and feel blessed to represent River Falls School District. I'd like to take a moment to express my appreciation and gratitude to Brian Jaco, Amanda Taylor, Lynette Coy, Jenny Ames, and our IT department for their preparation of the agenda, resources, and technology for tonight's meeting. It takes a lot of behind-the-scenes work to make sure that we're all ready to go for tonight. Okay, so the goal tonight is to share with members of our community a progress update on our school district. My hope is that when you leave tonight, you will remember that our work starts with the school board approved mission, vision, and strategic plan that was developed with community, parent, student, and staff input. We're consistent in our pursuit of excellence, and we know that prioritizing our efforts is important. So that means for us, when we look at our strategic plan, the most important parts are focused on academic growth, student engagement, and employee satisfaction. As we continue to strive for improvement, we have a lot to be celebrating for and thankful for. So there's our strategic plan on one page. That's a little small, so I'll get into some details with it. But it's our tangible action that gives us our marching orders. The full strategic plan includes 8 core values, 5 broad goals, and 34 sub-goals, and it will run through 2027. I'm going to highlight each of the goals. So our first goal is to hold high expectations for student learning. Our next goal is to provide a safe, welcoming, and healthy school environment. Our next goal is to attract, retain, and develop high-quality staff. Our fourth goal is to provide life readiness skills. And our fifth goal is to uphold operational excellence. So when we talk about those goals, we continue to prioritize our time and resources toward the most important elements of the strategic plan. We use these guiding principles that are up on the board tonight to help us prioritize our priorities, identify our priorities, and adhere to these priorities. So those are, when we're focusing on accomplishing our goals, we want to make sure that we're focusing on what's most important, not having too many priorities, being specific and measurable in the way that we look at our goals. We want to act on our lead measures, and lead measures are active, actionable, and predictive, and they're within our circle of influence. We want to keep track, and therefore we keep a compelling scoreboard. If you stay tonight, we'll talk a little bit about what those targets look like for each of our goal areas. And we do that to share it widely, not for blame, not for shame, but to celebrate our successes and to identify areas where we can continue to grow. And that leads us to that cadence of accountability, making sure that we're regular and repeated and predictable with our updates around these goals. So I've mentioned this before, but when we talk about achievement, that's under River Falls Learns. When we talk about employee satisfaction, that's under River Falls Works. And when we talk about engagement, that's River Falls Connects. So when we talk about academic growth, that means we're prioritizing opportunities for teachers to authentically collaborate. We're promoting high-quality teaching and learning strategies. We're delivering a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And we're developing a consistent framework that responds to the academic and behavioral needs of students. Our pursuit of excellence extends beyond the classroom. Excuse me, I have it out of order. There we go. So our district continues to demonstrate high levels of student achievement on state assessments and college entrance exams. Highlighted here, the district has ranked in the top 17% in academic achievement on the most recent school report card. A distinction that we're celebrating this year is academic growth at the River Falls Public Montessori Elementary. RFPME received an award for high progress. That distinction is based on measurable progress in student academic growth on the state forward exam. And this academic growth is an indicator of the positive strategies that are connecting students with the supports that they need to be successful at the Montessori. At River Falls High School, we're celebrating an increase in our composite ACT score and an increase in the percentage of students passing advanced placement exams. District-wide, we've engaged in goal setting and tracking on student progress in the areas of literacy and standards mastery. We see this work as critical in influencing student achievement district-wide. And we see this as a celebration and a challenge for continued growth. As I will outline throughout this presentation, we have a strong belief that all students can meet or exceed high expectations for student achievement. But we also believe that standardized tests provide a narrow assessment of the learning that takes place in our schools, and therefore we focus on multiple measures of achievement and engagement. One area that I wanted to highlight within this work is refining academic and behavioral supports for students. We strive to implement consistent, high-quality instructional techniques in all classrooms. And when a student is identified as needing additional supports, we have experts in the areas of math and reading and behavioral interventions that find time to support these students. This graphic identifies the key elements to providing universally strong support to each and every student. We've developed a schedule that allows educators to collaborate. This collaboration ensures the delivery of a consistent curriculum in all of our classrooms. It helps teachers identify effective instructional strategies and identify the needs of their students. We are focused on ensuring we are appropriately monitoring student learning through data analysis and expanding our ability to respond. This response includes collaborating with parents, providing ongoing academic and behavioral support, and identifying enrichment, extension, and co-curricular opportunities, as well as discussing our charter school options for our students. For this framework to work, we're committed to improving the systems that we use and the responses that we have for student needs. Also want to spend a little bit of time on engagement. So when we talk about engagement, we mean prioritizing safe and welcoming schools, encouraging student participation in co-curricular activities, emphasizing character education in all buildings, and continuous improvement in the area of communication, eliciting parent feedback, and school culture. Our pursuit of excellence extends beyond the classroom in the areas of fine arts, athletics, and vocational organizations. Our students are consistently showing the ability to perform at the highest levels across the state and within the nation. Our district has a robust and comprehensive college and career readiness planning program. Starting in elementary and middle school and ramping up in high school, our students participate in lessons designed at identifying their strengths and passions and understanding how these passions can lead to a career. The result is 165 course offerings, 124 students earning college credit, 49 students participating in CVTC academies or associate degree programs, and apprenticeship opportunities in skilled trades such as electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. We could spend a lot of time here. However, I've chosen to highlight the commitment to finding diverse opportunities to ensure that all students have the ability to connect with something that interests them and plays to their skills. So we have 22 WIA sports, 49 unique clubs at the high school, over 25 sports and clubs at Meyer Middle School. Our students are remarkable, and we're thankful for partnering with families in these endeavors, and we never forget these exciting and memorable opportunities are not possible without the support of the community. When we talk about connection, a cornerstone of this engagement is our prioritization of character education in all of our schools. Since 2010, the district has dedicated to embedding instruction and learning opportunities focused on teaching and modeling for students character traits that will help them be successful in school, in the workplace, and as citizens. These traits, which are listed up here, were identified with input from community members, staff, and students. A third piece to our strategic plan is employee satisfaction. And when we talk about that, we're focusing on providing high-quality onboarding and mentorship to our new employees, having comparable employee compensation to our regional market, and focusing on improvement in the areas of communication and eliciting employee feedback and school culture. As will be outlined in the budget hearing, staffing makes up the majority of our operating expenses, the vast majority. A crucial factor in our overall success is our ability to find highly qualified and effective employees at every position within the district. We have 500 plus dedicated employees, 60 plus of those who have over 20 years of experience in the district. We're thankful for these staff members and their long-term commitment to the district. We strive for a positive culture for employees through systems that support clear communication, as well as effective and positive employee onboarding and mentoring. One celebration each year, we elicit feedback from our staff, and the summary here highlights some of the areas of which we are most proud. We saw the vast majority either agree or strongly agree that the district is a family-friendly workplace, that we have clarity around our goals, and that the staff would recommend the district to others seeking employment. So as many of you know, nearly all of our facilities have been touched by construction over the last 18 months. This has resulted in a season of patience for staff, students, and families. Skipped one. There we go. So I'm happy to report that we're on time and on track. As expected, there's always a few surprises, and these surprises have required adjustments to our schedule. However, our instructional areas were ready for the start of the school year. Instructional and support staff have done a great job of being adaptable and willing to go above and beyond, and that has allowed us to start school on a great start. The transportation center will be done by the middle of October. The high school multi-purpose addition will be done by the middle of October, and a community open house is being planned for early November, and we'll have more details as that gets closer. I just wanted to take one step to recognize the Buildings and Grounds Department for their tireless efforts in preparing the buildings for the start of the year. It wasn't a normal summer for them. There were high levels of stress and challenges, and they did a fantastic job managing that and collaborating with teachers and principals and construction staff they just did a wonderful job, and I wanted to make sure we highlighted that. So here are some pictures of the progress so far. This is our transportation center. So this is where down where we affectionately call the bus garage. These are some of the indoor spaces. This will be ready to be turned over and completely used by the district by the middle of October. This is the main gym, which was included a refinish and new bleachers. These are pictures of the multi-purpose addition as well as some of the safety additions that we had at the high school. So on the top row there, you're seeing pictures of the multi-purpose addition as well as the reorganization of the weight room. The bottom left is a training room, and then the bottom right is the locker bays that now are supported with safety doors. These are the tennis courts, which were completely redone and are already being used for matches. This is Westside Elementary. A couple things to highlight at Westside. New bathrooms, new ADA compliant bathrooms in all of the spaces, new safety doors, as well as casework in each of the classrooms. Meyer Middle, a lot of lighting and HVAC work that's still getting dialed in 100%, as well as some other safety additions as well. And then Greenwood Elementary, the most visible pieces of Greenwood were updating the soffit area to become more efficient, as well as lighting and other HVAC updates. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for tonight by saying thank you. Thank you for your patience with the construction. Thank you for supporting the district. Our schools are fortunate to have high levels of community support and engagement. Our students benefit from family and staff partnerships. And I hope that River Falls continues to be a source of pride for the community. Thank you very much.
At this time, I direct you to look at pages 6 through 15, which is the school year budget, and I ask the Director of Finance, Lynette Coy, to provide the 2025 or 2025-26 school year budget presentation.
Good evening. Thank you, Dave. You just heard really what's at the heart of what we do, our goals, our missions, and our values, and our priorities, and the budget is really what supports that, because how well we allocate our resources directly impacts the educational services that we can provide to students. And so, again, I welcome you. My name is Lynette Coy. I'm the Director of Finance and Facilities, and I'm going to take us through the proposed 25-26 budget, which begins on page 6 of your booklet. Hopefully you all were able to grab one of those. If not, there should be some still at the table. We also have a copy of the booklet on our finance webpage, and it was also part of tonight's agenda materials. So the format that we use is the recommended format from DPI, which includes the current proposed budget and then the 2 previous fiscal years. You'll notice that 24-25 numbers are audited, as we are still moving through that process with our independent auditor. Annually, districts in Wisconsin are required to have an independent audit performed by an outside agency, and those audits usually begin late summer, and they are completed right about December. So that's why we're still listing those as unaudited. So before we actually start moving through the entire budget, I think it's worth noting that until October 15th, Wisconsin school districts must use estimates for some of our really key funding-related variables. And those would be our student membership or student enrollment. We just had our third Friday count on Friday, so those numbers are still coming in, and those are one of the key drivers in our state budget and state funding for schools. The others are property values and the certified state aid. So all 3 of those we don't actually get until October, so right now what you're seeing, we're using our best estimates for those. All of those actually impact not only the budget, but also the tax levy and the mill rate. So we'll talk a little bit as I move through about how those might change as those key variables come in. And then the board will approve a final budget, or I'm sorry, an original budget on October 27th at its regular meeting. So our budget is separated by funds. Districts are required to use fund accounting based on the purpose of the use of those funds. Fund balance you're going to see at the top of each section. I like to point out that that is assets minus liabilities. So fund balance isn't always cash on hand, and it's really a snapshot on one day, which is June 30th of every year. So if you look at, for example, at the top of page 6, we're going to start there with our general fund, and you'll see that the fund balance is listed at just over $14 million. However, $8 million of that is actually taxes owed to the district. So it's not all cash. A lot of it is still owed to the district. So I just want to point that out. The district will receive, or did receive those funds owed, those taxes owed in August. So those have been receipted in now. All right, so let's move along under Fund 10 revenue. You'll see our local sources, 210, near the top there. Those are our taxes, and you will notice an increase of over $2.1 million. So $1 million of that is actually the second year of the taxpayer-approved operating referendum that was passed in 2024. And then the remaining increase is due to the increase in per pupil revenue limit that was passed by this 25-27 state budget. And for River Falls, historically, anytime that there's a per pupil revenue limit increase, that is shared by an increase in state aid and tax levy. However, with the state budget passage this year, there was no increase in the pot of state aid money. And so therefore, that revenue limit increase becomes entirely tax levy. So near the top of page 7, you'll see state sources 620. That is our state aid, it's general state aid. You'll see what the current estimate is for that is just over $22 million, which is a very slight increase over last year. And that's, again, goes back to the fact that there was no additional money put in that state aid pot with the passage of the recent biennial budget. The district will receive the certified state aid amount on October 15th. Districts also receive aid outside of the revenue limit, which is shown in 690, which is other revenue, and that amount is directly related to our student count, so it's a per pupil amount. At the bottom of page 7, you're going to see that the total revenue estimate right now is $48.2 million. So turning to page 8 is where our general fund expenditures begin, and these are listed by general program area and really consist of everything from salaries to supplies to equipment. So all of that is in there based on what program it's supporting. Looking at some of our non-program transactions, specifically the 410 and the 430. 410 is actually a transfer from general fund to other funds, specifically special education and capital projects fund. So for this year, the 25-26 fiscal year, the $4.6 million budgeted in 25-26 is entirely for a transfer to cover non-reimbursable expenses for special education. And the 430 includes an aid transfer estimated for students that open enroll out of the district. And then you're going to see that those total expenditures match our revenues at the $48.2 million, and so we are presenting a balanced budget tonight for general fund. At the bottom of page 8 is our special projects fund, or Fund 21, and this is where our student activity funds that are outside of the revenue limit, those are accounted for here in Fund 21. And then moving on to page 9 is our special education fund, or also Fund 27 is referred to. Special education revenue and expenditures, we are required to account for those in Fund 27. So our two main sources of revenue for special ed services is a transfer from general fund, as I mentioned a little while ago, and the other is the state aid. So that's the source 610. Good news is the 25-27 state budget increased the allocation for the special ed cost reimbursement. So in the past, the pot of money that they've set aside for that reimbursement, the goal has been to fund or reimburse 33% of costs for special education. It's usually hitting right around 30 to 31%. So what the state did was increase that pot of money, and their goal is to cover in 25-26 42% reimbursement of costs. We will likely see that a little less. It's called a sum certain reimbursement, which means once the pot of money, it's a certain dollar amount pot of money. They hope it goes 42% reimbursement rate, but often it falls a little bit short of that. Fund 27 cannot be in the negative at the end of the fiscal year. So again, that's why we do a transfer from general fund. And expenses for special education are shown on page 10 and 11. And similar to the general fund, these expenses cover our salaries, supplies, equipment, and again, by program. So if we move to the middle of page 11, is where our debt service is. So the district only has a Fund 39 debt service, and this is for taxpayer-approved or referendum-approved debt. And this has a separate tax levy for repaying that debt. So you'll also see the total indebtedness in that section at the bottom at the end of the fiscal year. And that's, like I said, that's shown at the last line item there in that section. At the bottom of page 11 is our capital projects. We have both a Fund 46 and a Fund 49. So 46 is funded through transfers from the general fund. And once those funds are moved to Fund 46, they cannot be transferred to any other fund, and any expenditures from that have to align with the district's capital projects plan. Fund 49 holds the funds that the district receives for paying for those capital projects. So the projects that you saw the photos of that Dave showed, when we received that $28 million, that's the fund that we put that in, which is Fund 49, and so that's where we're paying those out of. So we've got, it's kind of like when you build a home and you take out a loan to build a home, you get those funds, you're building the home and you're paying those expenses, and then you're gonna be paying your mortgage and paying those back out of a different fund, and that's our Fund 39. So we've got two going at the same time related to the referendum. We do have, so Dave did show some photos of those projects, and we also have updates of the projects on our webpage, if you haven't seen that already. And then as mentioned, we do have an open house coming up. So on November 4th, from 5 to 7 p.m., we will be hosting an open house at both the high school for the new addition and the gym, and then also at the transportation center. So you're welcome to visit one or both during that time. Again, that's November 4th from 5 to 7, and we'll certainly be pushing a lot of information and communication out for that. At the top of page 12, we have our food service fund, or Fund 50, and the district's national school lunch and breakfast programs run through Fund 50. The district contracts for services from Chartwells for its food service program and has had a great partnership with Chartwells for over 25 years. Our final fund is our Community Service Fund 80, and this fund accounts for the district's community education program, or community ed as we like to call it, and then also our kids club. So these are two really valuable and well-utilized programs in our community, and those are running through that Community Service Fund, or Fund 80. Lastly, within the budget document is the proposed levy. So the Fund 10 levy aligns with our current revenue limit estimate, and this is one of those things that is likely to change as those last key variables start to come in. The Fund 39 levy will remain what it is. That is what the district needs to levy to make its debt payment in 2026. And then Fund 80 community service levy has remained the same for the past 5 years at that $220,000. And again, this year we have a very small amount of tax chargebacks, so we have to include that in our levy as well. At the bottom of page 12 is information on our OPEB trust, and OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits, and this is a trust set up for the district-provided retirement benefits. So different than WRS, which is the state benefit, this is a district-provided benefit set up in a trust, and this is managed by Mid-America Administrative Retirement Solutions. On page 13, there's a couple of visuals showing the breakdown of revenues and expenses for both Fund 10 and Fund 27 combined. So as Dave mentioned, you'll see in the second graph there, you'll see expenses, salaries and benefits make up almost 78% of our total expenses. On page 14, we show the history of the mill rate for the district, and currently we are estimating the mill rate for 25-26 at 6.87, so just a slight decrease, and really that's a push and pull between the levy and property values. Let's see. And then at the bottom there, we have oftentimes mill rate is used to compare to other districts. It's one of the pieces that people use to compare other financial data with other districts. And because districts don't actually certify the levy, the 25-26 levy until late October, we're showing last year's comparisons. Page 15 shows the estimates of equalized property values for now. Again, we will get those on October 1st. And so it shows not only the dollar amount for each of the municipalities, but then also the percentage of the total levy or the total equalized value that municipality makes up. And that really drives what percentage of the total levy is then certified to that municipality. And that's all I have. We'll now take comments on the budget if there are any.
At this time, if Barry Danielson would like to come forward for comment.
Barry Danielson, and been interested in the financing of this school district a year or so. My daughter, I have a daughter that's disabled. In '84, she was going to Baldwin Wood School District, and I know all the angles they try to do to not have my daughter be there. I have some issues with the school district. I guess the main one is financial reporting of the school district. And the school board receives the checkbook register, but everything under $100 is out of it. And there's no revenue shown. So the average taxpayer doesn't know what's really going on. Other school districts, Hudson has 195 pages of what I can see they spend their money on. Because when I go through ours, February of 25, $11,521 in revenue. What was it? You know, I don't know. I took the March February balances and calculate it out. It's like doing a checkbook. In July, a checkbook balance of $14 million. August, we had a checkbook balance of $10 million. No, I'm sorry. I got that messed up here. We had balance of 14 million, and then in August, which is July, 3 million or $4 million. At $10 million in expenses. This is just our Fund 10 money. Because Fund 49 is in the WIC program. So that's where that fund has to come out of. And then in September, which is August, we ended up back with a $10 million balance after we spent $9 million, which caused $16,257 be revenue.
Your time is up.
This is an annual meeting. It is free speech. You can't impose 2-minute warnings. You have one a year. One a year. I'm not stopping. And this is the annual meeting. I've read the law.
Thank you, Barry.
Robert-
The rules of the meeting were 2 minutes per person, and that was adopted. And so your
When
time
was
is
it
up.
adopted? We never voted on it. Here, you voted for a school board meeting. Yes, this is an annual meeting of the taxpayers of this school district.
Thank you, Barry. You're out of order. The time is done.
Okay.
Thank you. Stacy Myers?
Thank you for this opportunity to address concerns that Mr. Danielson has raised. The board takes allegations regarding potential financial mismanagement very seriously. The board and administration have carefully reviewed his concerns, which started over a year ago. The district determined that it has complied with the law at every step. Additionally, the district consulted with its legal counsel, bond counsel, financial advisors, auditors, and the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction regarding its use of funds. They have all confirmed that the district complied with the law and acted within its legal authority. In addition, the district has responded to hundreds of requests for records and information from Mr. Danielson. The district has nothing to hide and has provided appropriate records in compliance with the law and board policy. Nevertheless, Mr. Danielson has been dissatisfied with the district's responses. That doesn't change the fact that the district has complied at all times with the law. Ultimately, the board decided that Mr. Danielson's complaints lacked merit and dismissed them. Responding to Mr. Danielson's requests and complaints has required significant use of district resources in terms of employee and board member time, as well as direct costs, including legal fees. His communications no longer serve a legitimate purpose because his complaints have been determined not to have merit. The board hopes that Mr. Danielson will move on from his concerns so that the board can focus on its mission to educate students. Thank you for this time.
Thank you, Stacy. And Mr. Danielson, the rules stated that one comment. And do we have Chris Myers also speaking this evening? Chris Myers? No. Okay. All right. Thank you. Those are the only two then that had registered to have comments here at the meeting. I ask you now to please turn to page 16. On page 16, the recommended motions are outlined. The first motion, 10A, is about the approval of salaries of school board members for the 25-26 election year, and all members currently receive $3,200 annually, with the exception of the president, clerk, and treasurer, who receive $3,600 annually. Do I have a motion to set and approve the school board member salaries for 2025-26? So moved. Okay. Okay. Mr. Miller moved and second, and that's Ms. Chafee? Okay, all right, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Is there any discussion on the motion? If none, we will vote with a voice vote. If there is question whether it passes, we will do a hand raise vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. The next resolution is to set the tax levy for the 2025-26 school year, also found on page 16. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to set the tax levy as presented on page 12? So moved, and that is Zach. Pardon? Owen Wells Mangold. Okay, you have it. And second? Second. Mrs. Miller. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion on the motion? Yes. I'm going to let Finance Director Coy.
Yeah, so tonight's motion and second is to really give the board guidance as they move to set the actual levy in October. They are required to set a levy that is within the revenue limit, and then also to fund the district and to make the debt payments. So, yep, it does seem like we've got the cart before the horse a little bit, but that's how districts are required to do that and set the levy. So they take the public's vote tonight and then set the actual levy in October. Yeah, we could certainly take a motion in that regard. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I'm going to let you address that, Lynette.
I suppose the motion could be we approve a tax levy sufficient for district purposes. Mm-hmm.
I think by operation of law, that you would approve this tax levy, and then the board has the authority to adjust it if the numbers change. So your number tonight is still accurate for the levy, and then the board has separate authority to adjust it. So it's not a temporary or a guidance number. Tonight's number is the number. It just is subject to change by the board within its statutory authority. That's perhaps the difference between the municipal levy and the school board levy, is how it happens. It's just that the board doesn't have final approval. This is the approval. The board can then adjust it, and they may not if the numbers are right. So It really is a separate act. Tonight we approve it, and then the board can adjust it.
Yeah, I understand. I would agree with you that, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. Any other comment or discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote again. And again, if there's a question of whether it's passed or not, we will revote with a show of hands. All in favor of the resolution to set the tax levy for the 2025-26 school year as listed on page 16, say aye. All opposed, nay. The motion carries. Resolution 10C is the resolution for the school to allow the school board to set its 2026 annual meeting at a later date. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution to allow the school board of the School District of River Falls to set the 2026 annual meeting at a later date? Do I have a motion? Allison Page moved. Second? Christine Munich, second. Okay, we have a motion and a second to allow the school district to set its 2026 annual meeting at a later date. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion carries. Thank you. The meeting is adjourned.